While we wait for that video to load, we're gonna look something up online that might be on the same topic. But while we're waiting, you know what's here's something to think about how other people are experiencing Thanksgiving in our country, and it's important because it recently it's been on all the news channels. It just happened right before the holidays started that our president came and he was making a speech in San Francisco um, um, about immigration reform. Um, and it was an unusual exchange that not everyone takes note of. That the difference, something unique about this president. I never saw this before. There were people, who were interrupting, wanting, saying, can you use an executive order, to for, calling for amnesty and everything, and people were like attempting to quiet the people who'd interrupted, and the president. I don't know if they've ever seen this before. The president said, "No, no, 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 that's okay. That's okay. They don't have to leave." He said that security. No, it said, no, 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 they don't have to leave. And then he answered them. He actually had a back and forth. There was people. What we usually people call someone heckled the president. No, no, no. It's a very different exchange where he actually said no, no, let them stay, and he heard what they had to say, and he answered them and said he couldn't, he actually can't give an executive order for amnesty and stuff. It was a really unique thing, and it's been on news channels. He was in San Francisco, which is in the city. Also, we were reminded because just before this holiday season, we just went back to the Mission District where we sort of began our trip to California. What since and it's since I want to say what's happening for people like while um you know people are having Thanksgiving dinner. We can't use since the issue is something that came up right before, and it may even be dinner table discussion among people who, like, I don't know, watch TV or something, like, when they argue with their families about politics and stuff, like the immigration issue, and that the president was someone shouted at the president, and he had an exchange with them. Everyone saw that on the news. Let's see if while that loads we could say something that will be of service, but we'll give it a shot. Sometimes you have to do this a second time. Okay, what's going on with a lot of families that are immigrants from Latin America right now during their Thanksgiving? Okay, like a lot of people living in America, like they're in poverty, but in this situation, you got people who live in fear of being deported, fear of the INS, being harassed by INS, and watching very hopefully knowing that there's a president that hopefully that does want some kind of like a humane policy with regard to individuals like who don't yet have citizenship and have come in the country not through the proper channels, but who there's a second generation now. They have kids who are like, some in high school or junior high school living in the country. They live in fear now that they may be deported, all right, if their parents are caught not without documentation, okay, and they're living and they're not doing well economically to start with, okay. There's a lot of fear around like the Thanksgiving table for such people, and it's something that in our media system and our political class, it's as though not much is happening with that, one way or the other. It must be very frightening for families having Thanksgiving dinner, knowing, and sure, it would be a discussion that this exchange that everyone saw on the media of the president, and that he was sympathetic to someone saying, "Can't you use an executive order for amnesty?" So while that's something going on with families, certainly a lot of families who live in that Mission District, and it's come up on our news stations this holiday when people are with their families and stuff for all these holidays. Like, here's things to know about that are like, you don't learn. It can't be. It's not being taught in the universities. It's not in our media system. It's not in our papers. It's one of the reasons why there's a lack of sympathy for such families. It's treated like just another sort of like political football issue for the political class. It's like one of many things they, put in play along with like a bunch of other issues, some of which have, it's not being, it's not the gravity of it, and like so there's a lack of sympathy on the part of like the American population towards like recent immigrants going through in this situation. Let's about what people are, why people come into the country like illegally, why that's happening. So when people talk, they can maybe have a little better understanding of and a little more sympathy for such people, and hopefully like persons like me believe like no one should be deported, and it was what's happened is that sort of like explain it in a nutshell. So someone like over the day, in the privileged sectors, like all, this comes up at the dinner table, like to have some facts about what's been taking place. My whole, it's just really ramped up a lot in the 90s and is going forward. These trade agreements that we made when like Latin America and America and Canada and all, they worked at a certain like kind of trade block, and that's part of but it's brand named free trade. Okay, what's happened is that people are in the thousands over the border starving to death. Okay, they're starving to death. People have no work. The water's polluted. There's a major water shortage. Conditions are getting worse and worse and worse on the other side of the border, and people have been fleeing into our country, not because there's such great economic opportunity here, but living in poverty here and maybe having a chance to send your kids to a public school and such, rather than starve to death or die of a lack of clean drinking water. They come here. Okay, our media system and news and political class discusses this like this is some kind of like illegal alien thing. This is like some kind of like as though it's a criminal population or people who like one should be very angry at or who are doing something wrong. People doing for the past, since this thing went into these neoliberal policies went into overdrive in the 90s, they're doing the only thing you could possibly do when there's when thousands of people are going to be starving to death because of these economic policies that only benefit the transnational sector. They're just brand name free trade. There's nothing else to do but risk your life to see if you can get in to America, and then living here, doing different things to survive. And then it's an amazing thing to have a next generation that actually gets to go to school here at our public schools and such. Okay, these people have been fleeing into our country. Okay, that's why the president tells the people who wanted to quiet the people interrupting his speech in San Francisco and the security people, no, let them finish, because he knows that the call for amnesty is amnesty is not like a dirty word. That actually is like, if you live in reality, every single like type of person fleeing into the country, I try to the startup disc is full. I didn't know where the pain's coming from. I don't know where the pain's coming from, so I thought I'd try to help. I was the signal about a bunch of things, guys. I don't want to sit and like talk in a camera. I mean, it's just that like you sit outside, the pain comes from your unified field that like you're out of alignment with it. Then you get clues a lot, the things that are on the news, and then people signal about it. You think, is there something like a way we could be of service we're not mentioning? I'll give it a shot. Now it says startup disk is full. So when that thing fills up, am I going to be in pain? Am I supposed to call this person that another one of these times I run into someone, we don't know how it's happening. You run into someone you know several different times. They're clearly not telling you everything. Should I go live a regular life? I keep thinking if we could make a video that's of service, the pain would go away. Then if the startup disk is full, I don't want to be in pain. Then that's your computer thing. We'll delete a bunch, but that never helps. I don't have money to buy a new computer. I don't want to be in pain. So am I supposed to call that person and sort of have a friend in town, but we're gonna be doing that's fine. But I mean, I'm trying to understand. I know people would let me say, why does this talk all day? Well, now there's pain involved. But I'm doing my best with this situation. I guess I don't know why the pain is coming because I got back home. I don't even there's nothing left to do.